Mates Cafe. It's a network of trained men and women of all cultures and ethnicities who are able to meet with a person at their local cafe in a time of crisis to offer emotional support and encouragement. This all sounds like a good idea. Kerry Babbage is the CEO of Mates Cafe and joins me now. Happy Mother's Day, Kerry.
Thank you very much, Roman.
Did you cook breakfast this morning for someone special?
I spent it with a mother, and I was at a cafe, and we had a nice breakfast. So it was all great. So we're still doing that, actually.
Excellent. Tell us about the community-based grassroots movement, which is getting great traction up and down the country, this Mates Cafe.
Yeah, it's something that it's been a passion of mine now for over 15 years. We've been here in New Zealand for 12 years now, working this program. And we're at a really exciting place. We just had a Darkness into Light walk around the country, and we had hundreds and hundreds of New Zealanders walking at 6:15 from darkness into the light. Luckily, we got nice weather, so it was really great.
You were lucky, weren't you?
Yeah, and we all had yellow shirts on, and we went for march. It's just awesome. Almost looked like a zombie apocalypse to those who didn't know what's going on.
Mates Cafe, How did this all come about?
Well, it started for me many, many years ago because I went through a relationship breakup and realised there was nothing out there, and then sort of saw that so many people were taking their own lives and hurting themselves, and a lot of it was due to relationship breakdown. The sad thing is, like, every 2 minutes, someone in New Zealand experiences isolation and loneliness to the point where they question whether life is worth living. And that's 300,000 people a year in New Zealand, and 700 of which take their own lives each year. A lot of the other people end up in hospital, or they're living a life of sadness and despair, and we need to do something about this, and we are doing something about it.
Loneliness, as you've just touched on, it's thought to be one of the next big things, which is just terrible to think that someone could get so upset from loneliness, but it's going to affect so many more people because, as you said, relationship breakups, living longer without your partner.
Well, a lot of people don't realise the effects of loneliness and isolation, and it's the biggest killer in the world. It leads to heart disease, diabetes, early mortality. It's a huge thing. And governments around the world have spent millions of dollars on trying to figure out what causes suicide. The thing is that a point of suicide is the loneliest place on earth for that person. And we're quite exciting, really, because we believe that we're the answer to suicide, because if you have a mate with you at a point of crisis, you save someone's life, and that's what we're aiming to do.
So is that it in a nutshell, Mates Cafe? Tell me something more about what you do for people.
Well, so we train facilitators around the country to be the best person they can be and to walk the talk so they can be there for others in times of need. Okay. Right? And this is really important, that people are walking the talk. And so we see that, like, we train people to have better relationships, like to develop empathetic communication, enhance their leadership skills, so towards having a healthy, happy and fulfilling life in themselves. So this is the place that they have to be to help others. And it's not about giving advice. It's not about telling people what to do. It's about living an example. And so it's a win-win, really, because we empower the community, plus we're always there for those people in need. It's just such a beautiful thing.
The network-trained facilitators that you're referring to, where do they come from? How are they trained and appointed? What's the screening process?
So it's like everyday people like you and me who've been through the hard times, been knocked down and picked ourselves up and dusted ourselves off and got on with our lives. And it's those people that we want to reach out to, and we're doing a nationwide call. This is what we're talking about, that we want as many people as we can. We have an online program that they can tap into, so they go to our website and they sign up and do this online program, and it's free. We use the latest understandings of neuroscience to help people. Brain is this amazing piece of equipment that the vast majority of us don't realise how to drive it. We have two trains of thought in our brain. We have a threat pathway or a reward pathway. And most of us are focused on the threat pathway because they want to provide safety around them, security and safety. But that pathway doesn't lead to safety because we have this prefrontal cortex in our brain, which is actually develops our imagination. That's what separates us from animals. We have this part of our brain which allows us to imagine, to simulate situations, to work out scenarios. And this is what we use when we're focusing on our threats. We're always imagining bigger and better threats. This is part of our biology, because back in caveman days, there were saber-toothed tigers and dinosaurs running around. It's a pretty dangerous place. But this biology is still with us. So nowadays, we overreact to situations. What we want to get people to do is simply to start focusing on the reward pathway, because that's the pathway that leads to happiness.
Okay, so just looking at that prefrontal cortex, that doesn't fully develop in people until the mid-20s. Is that one of the reasons why younger people aren't coping with life in general?
Yes, it is. And see, this is what we do. We work with people of all ages. So especially, it's really wonderful to see older people and younger people working together, because they have different strengths. The older people have the experience, they have the knowledge that they can pass on to the younger people. And the younger people have this passion for life, this zest for life, and technology skills, but they have no real direction or focus. So this is where we need to enlist as many older people as possible, because when people get older, their experience and their life wisdom is not valued as much as it should be.
Do you know what? You've hit the nail on the head. There are so many older people that they describe themselves as invisible, and yet they have all of these skills that they could impart, really, couldn't they?
Oh, yeah, and this is what you look at, the retirement homes. They need to be in the community, and they need to be around younger people. You look at some of these countries in Europe, older people are valued, and as they get older, they have more people around them because they respect them and they appreciate them. And I think in the Western cultures, that's not really happening.
I think they do it very well in Pacific Island culture too, Kerry. I'm speaking with Kerry Babbage, the CEO of Mates Cafe. Talk to me more about this diverse range of people you keep speaking about that you use. Why is that important?
Because, see, we started off with working with men, because we saw that men was the major problem here in the community, as they complete the most suicides. 75% of suicides are men. And then you have family violence and situations like this. And we realised the best way to lift the status of men is to have everyone equal, on an equal level, right? And that means men and women, and whether you're a youth or elder, whether you're LGBT plus or whatever it is, across the board, equality. And it's not that so much equality, but harmony, that we all respect each other, respect our differences, and get on really well and help each other and there for each other.
Yeah, Kerry, I had this discussion last night with some friends. It's very much the point that we all want to belong and feel the same as other people. The fact is we're all very diverse. I grew up in a New Zealand that didn't really accept people that were different, whereas now it should be accepted more. But why do you think, just going back to that suicide and self-harm that we're so renowned for in the OECD, why are our levels, depression, suicide, self-harm, so high compared to the rest of the world?
Well, because we're focused on threat, because we're focused on things going wrong. We're always focused on what we don't want. And we have a part in our brain which is called the reticular activating system. It's a filter that filters out our opportunities, our reality, according to what we're focused on. So what we're saying is that if we can, or we are, help people to focus on what they want, then this brain opens up and finds opportunities to get that. Many times people have bought a car. It might have been a Toyota, a certain type of Toyota or something like that. All of a sudden they see them everywhere around them. This is that filter working. And this is what you can use to reprogram to make your life towards happiness and exciting. And so we teach people to embody happiness, because not many people know how to.
Not many people know how to live in the moment, Kerry, do they? They're always thinking about what's happening next, or the stress of paying a mortgage, or a loved one having an affair, or whatever.
Celebration needs to be part of our lives. And I ask many people, how do you celebrate? If you won $1 million, what would you actually do? How would you physically celebrate? And they go, maybe smile within myself. And I go, wow, we need to be jumping up and down and really celebrating life.
Yeah, we do.
We forget. We're very good at using our physiology to celebrate sadness and despair and that. But when it comes to happiness and to the things that we accomplish in life, we just sort of mull over them.
If we look at what precedes depression often, and suicide attempts or success or self-harm, is bullying properly addressed in our schools?
No, it's not. Our boys are the victims as well. And a lot of the times they are feeling isolated, they are feeling singled out, and it could be from whatever life they've been brought up in, and they've just been programmed in a certain way. It's our programming, our subconscious programming that's underlying our belief systems and that generates this thing. Our thinking sabotages our happiness. If we change our thinking, you know that saying, nothing's either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's so true. It's so powerful.
What was that saying one more time, Kerry?
Nothing is either good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. So it's not the experience that is the problem, it's our meaning that we put on that experience.
You might be wanting some more facilitators. There'll be people who are busting to get in touch with you for the Mates Cafe. How do people do that?
Okay, so they go to www.mates.cafe and they just put their name down, and they'll be linked to a form that they can fill out. And what it does, it sort of asks them different questions about who they are in their life, so that we can, when someone rings up in need, when we train them and someone rings up in need, that we can match them. So if someone's a policeman, we can match them with another policeman. If someone's a farmer, we can match them with another farmer. You know what I mean? Someone's younger, someone's older, we can match them all. And this is really exciting because rapport is what you need to be. When someone's down and out, you need to have that rapport with them.
So initially, if someone wants to make contact but they don't want to sit in a cafe and talk with a complete stranger, can they do this through Mates Cafe on the phone?
Yes, they can. 0800 Relate is something that they can work through. Got people online that can help them with that. We also, they don't have to sit down with people in a cafe. They can do the program and empower their own lives. And what we say is no one's really broken. It's just their thinking that needs to be tweaked a little bit. So the people who are down and out, who are going through problems, they are our teachers because they're learning this thing. If they can get through this and we'll help them, then they can be there for others.
Just going back to the bullying aspect, because I think it all starts very young, and it often starts in the home by hearing those throwaway comments that you might think, oh, it's a little bit racist, that's okay, that's a little bit funny. You're talking about someone's physical presence, their size, their ugliness, whatever. And kids learn that and they take it to school. What do you think we as a society need to embrace and change to stop this stem? I mean, I ask so many people about our high levels of depression, suicide and self-harm, and nothing seems to change.
Because people need the most important thing that we teach, and the most important thing that people need to understand is cause and effect. We program our children. It's not our children's fault. It's not anyone's fault, really. It's just basically that they've been programmed in a certain way. From the ages of 0 to 7 is that imprint period. And so they absorb everything around them in their environment, and that take that on, and that becomes their subconscious programming, right? And so it's up to us as parents. It's like we want to change our kids, but it's really we need to be the change. And that's what makes us about, being the change. If we are great, we have mana, if we're being the best parents or the best people we can be, the best version of ourselves, our children will grow up the same way. Because 55% of our communication is physiology. Another 35% is tonality. Our words is only about 7%. So it's not what we say, but what we do that programs our children to this way.
Yeah.
So rather than blaming children, if we step back and take responsibility and look at how we can empower our own life, our children are going to look after themselves.
Kerry, good points. And just one more time, how can people get in touch with you if they would like to take this further?
Okay, so mates, mates.cafe. Go online and register to be a facilitator. We're getting hundreds and hundreds of people. We're getting overwhelmed, which is a really good problem, to have. And they can also contact us on 0800 Relate.
Brilliant. That's Kerry Babbage, the CEO of Mates Cafe. Thank you so much for your time on Weekend Life.